Party's on Rhodes versus Rhodes. Step forward, please.
21-year-old Tamara Rhodes is suing her ex-husband, aerospace administrator James Rhodes, 42, for legal fees incurred trying to collect her child's medical bills. He says the child is not his.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 255 on the calendar in the matter of Rhodes versus Rhodes. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat.
Let me see if I understand this lawsuit, Mrs. Rhodes. The defendant had been your husband.
Yes, ma'am.
And you are now divorced.
Yes.
Is this your present husband?
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you have a seat, sir? According to your complaint, while you were married to the defendant, you became pregnant with your current husband's child. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Your child that was born required a great deal of medical attention in the first 3 months of life.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant, according to your complaint, refused to pursue insurance claims for the medical bills for that child.
Yes.
The child that wasn't his.
Yes.
Forcing you to go out and get a lawyer to pursue the insurance company for reimbursement.
Yes.
So you are suing your former husband for the legal fees that you incurred
Yes.
to get his insurance company to pay for your child.
Yes.
Your Honor, may I clarify?
Sure. Why don't you step up here?
Yeah.
Then you clarify it, and then you tell me why you didn't pay for your own child's
Very well.
insurance.
She was a dependent under Mr. Rhodes' insurance.
Yes.
Okay, under the fact of the matter is when the child was born, she was still covered under his insurance. And
She was.
She had it was a requirement by the divorce stipulation that she would be
By what stipulation?
the divorce stipulation.
Yes.
Okay, a legal document here that he would maintain her insurance
Let me see it.
and also
Just a second. Just a second. Let me look at it. Absolutely right. This says that the respondent, that's you,
Yes.
shall continue to cover petitioner, that's you, under his health insurance,
That's correct.
available through his employer.
That's correct.
Did you continue to cover her?
Yes, I did.
So what's your complaint with regard to him?
Okay, when the child was born, she was still covered under his insurance because she was still married to him legally. I could not even put her under my insurance as a married woman to someone else. I could do it my employer will allow me to do it as a domestic partner once she's divorced. Therefore, when the child was born, under his insurance coverage, she's automatically covered for 30 days. And I have a book that indicates that coverage.
That sounds right to me.
Okay,
So the
that's
child is automatically covered for 30 days.
The child went into ICU immediately after birth due to a variety of medical problems. What happened is that once the bills started coming in, his insurance carrier refused to pay them for whatever reason.
Right.
We went through great lengths. We called him. I even personally talked to him on the phone, said that I was Mr. Rhodes, and asked him, well, what can I do? And they said, well, you have to submit an appeal. And that has to be done in writing, and it has to be signed by the member, which was Mr. Rhodes. Now, we called him and talked to him initially and asked him if he would do that. And initially, he seemed like he would be interested in doing that. We set up a meeting and met with him and his significant other, and at that meeting, basically everything came apart. The parties parted ways, and basically, shortly after, our phone was call blocked to his residence, so she could not call
What's your last name?
Payetta.
Mr. Payetta, the insurance company declined to pay for the child for the first 30 days.
At that time, yes.
And what you're complaining about is that Mr. Rhodes here, you don't have to say anything yet, Mr. Rhodes. Mr. Rhodes here said, I'm not filing any appeals with the insurance company.
That's correct.
And because he said he would not file appeals with the insurance company, you were forced to hire a lawyer.
That's correct.
And the lawyer was able to get the insurance company to pay up.
The majority of the claims. There are still some outstanding.
But the insurance company agreed that they had made a mistake
That's correct.
and that they should have paid.
That's correct.
Well, I suggest you sue the insurance company
That was a possibility. We talked to the attorney. He said that the chances of that would be very unlikely.
Well, the chances of you being successful against Mr. Rhodes are even less likely, sir. He did what was required of him pursuant to this judgment of divorce. Oh, yes.
Your Honor, it says that he was supposed to assist in the submission of the
They
claims.
said he had the right to appeal. They wouldn't even
Just a
listen to
second,
me.
just a second. It says that the respondent shall continue to cover the petitioner under his health insurance available through his employer until she is no longer eligible as his spouse and cooperate in the submission and payment of claims and reimbursements.
That's correct.
That's what it says. Now, you submitted the claims.
No, what happens is the hospital submits the claims. They come back denied, and then the hospital sends us a bill and says you have to pay it. Okay, so we called the insurance
Just
company.
a second. You said it was denied. I didn't hear the reason that it was denied. You have that from the insurance company as to the reason it was denied?
They said it because it wasn't his daughter.
It didn't say because he hadn't signed the claim forms.
That's correct.
Right. So he did not do anything.
Your
Just a
Honor,
minute.
we asked him to assist us with submitting the appeals. I even offered to write the letter
I
if he
understand
would
what you're-
sign it.
I
The
understand
insurance
what-
company would
Is he
not.
trying to talk over me?
Seems like.
I got to write down, sir. I got to write down. I know exactly what you're saying to me. You are saying that the bills were submitted pursuant to this. Did not require his signature for it to be submitted because the hospital submits them.
That's correct.
They were disclaiming because the insurance company said since this child was not his, they were therefore not responsible because she
That-
was the dependent.
That
That's
was
according to
that
you.
was their initial story.
Whatever their story was.
Well, their book, the book that they say it's a general services agreement book, which we were able to get them to send us, states that the child is covered for the first 30 days.
So you sued them.
So what we did is I asked them, well, how do I resolve this? During a phone call. And they said, well, what you have to do is submit a claim. Actually, they call it in here a grievance procedure if you're dissatisfied with their response.
Their response, you file a
Okay.
grievance procedure.
So, grievance procedure. That grievance procedure has to come from the member.
And he didn't want to
Has
do that.
That's correct.
Just a second, he didn't want to do that. I don't blame him.
Tamara Rhodes wants her ex-husband, James Rhodes, to pay her attorney bill for trying to collect her child's medical bills.
Let me see the letter from the lawyer.
By which one is it?
How are you, Mr. Rhodes?
I'm fine. How are you?
Here it is. This one right here. Your Honor, the issue.
Let me read. I know what the issue is. I'm really smart. Well, this certainly isn't a very strong letter that your attorney wrote to them. He says, additionally, please find a copy of my client's February 24th and March 24th billing statements from this office indicating attorney's fees expended in order to resolve the payment of these claims with your company. I am therefore requesting that you check into the possibility of reimbursement of these fees from your company.
Your Honor.
Look into the possibility of paying. No. You sue
I
him.
use the
You sue him now.
I acknowledge what you're saying as far as I do believe, truthfully, that the insurance company has a certain culpability towards this whole situation. In fact, maybe a greater percentage. But it was an agreement in Tamara's and Mr. Rhodes' divorce decree that he was to assist her. By the fact that he did not assist her, we had to employ the attorney and incur fees in order to resolve this matter. That is why we feel that Mr. Rhodes is subject to paying some of these attorney fees.
So I'll give it to you one more time, sir. I've read the judgment of divorce. The judgment of divorce provides that he shall cooperate in the submission of claims.
Which he did not
Now,
do.
You are interrupting me, which is really ticking me off.
Sorry, Your Honor.
No, he did not have to do it in this case because the hospital itself submitted the claims on behalf of your now wife and behalf of your child. The judge's direction pursuant to the judgment of divorce did not say anything about and pursuing all necessary appeals if insurance is declined. Didn't say anything about that. It said submission of claims. He chose not to be involved with the appellate process of the insurance company. The truth of the matter is it was the insurance company that was culpable, and your lawyer or you are free to sue the insurance company for the costs that you incurred in seeing to it that a right decision was ultimately made. Your lawsuit's dismissed. That's all.
Parties are
Thank you.
excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
Oh, I just hope that Tammy and Jack move on with their own life and take on their own responsibilities instead of trying to make me pay for it.
I was looking after my dog. Someone really sick.
I guess we just have to live with it.
Someday we'd like to have our own baby, and our insurance will pay for that.
I never hit her.
He actually pushed me up against the wall and pulled my hair out.
They had a child, but when they split, he cut off the power and phone.
I mean, you have a child there. Did you give her any notice that you were cutting off her electricity and her phone?
No, I did not.
Well, that's not nice, sir. Do you understand?
Yes, I did.
Perfect.
Party's on Favre versus Powell. Step forward, please.
32-year-old construction worker Eric Favre is suing the mother of his child, charity administrator Rebecca Powell, 31, for expenses while living together. Rebecca is countersuing for lost wages and rent.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 274 on the calendar in the matter of Favre versus Powell. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
We have a lawsuit and we have a countersuit. Let's start with the lawsuit first. Mr. Favre, you and the defendant lived together for a while in a townhouse that you moved into together, according to these papers. So far correct?
So far, correct.
You have 2 children from another marriage or relationship, and you have a child together.
That's correct.
And your arrangement was that you would split all the bills 50-50.
That's correct.
And then there came a time, Ms. Powell, that you believed that either you or you and your children were at risk with the plaintiff being in the house. You called the police and had him removed.
That's correct.
And your lawsuit, sir, says that you wanted to be compensated for the deposit that you jointly put down on the townhouse and for the money that you paid for the furniture that remained in the house.
That's correct.
How much did you spend on all this furniture?
About $1,000.
And how much was the deposit on the townhouse?
$700, I believe. Split that in half would be $350.
Do you have all the furniture?
Yes, I do.
You want to keep all the furniture?
Yes, I do.
$350 is from the townhouse and $500 is for the furniture.
Right.
So that's what you put in, $850.
Exactly.
Now let's get to your countersuit. You indicated to me in your answer, madam, that you were afraid because things had become so hostile in the house.
Exactly.
That, so hostile, between the two of you, they were hostile, that he might assault you.
No,
That's what
he
you said.
did assault me.
Just a second. Well, maybe I read it wrong. Let me see what you said here.
Maybe I
You
wrote
said,
it wrong.
I knew that eventually he would hit me.
And it happened.
Well, that's not what you said in here. You never said that he hit you.
Well, he did.
When?
I have the police reports where they came out. He
When?
actually
What day?
pushed me up against the wall and pulled my hair out of my scalp.
Let me see.
I obtained that from the police department, and what they call that is a CAD call. They didn't do a report on it because they didn't remove him from the premises. But that's the basis by which the judge granted me the restraining order.
Now, I understand that this is the basis in which he granted you a restraining order, but you called the police on May 1st, right?
No, I went to the police station on May 1st so that they would escort me to my home to have him removed. He alleged that
Did you
I
ever throw her?
No. What happened, Your Honor, was she was antagonizing me, too. She wanted me to hit her because I know and she knows that if I would have struck her, I'd go to jail, I'd lose my job, I'd lose everything I worked for. So I wouldn't do that. She was up in my face. I never hit her. She tried to push me down the stairs while sweeping the stairs. I grabbed her. That's as far as it went. So I wouldn't fall down the stairs. That's as far as it went.
Well, this talks about something. X hit the male with a broom.
That's what happened.
No weapons. That's what this says here. In any event, $170 for reconnection fee for the electricity. Now, Mr. Favre, that I had a problem with. Did you have the electricity and the telephone cut off in the house?
Your Honor, I had everything cut off. Everything was in my name. She was not paying. She didn't pay me
When
on it.
did you cut it
When
off?
I cut it off, I believe it was like a week into my stay in the motel.
How did you know she wasn't paying?
I called and I checked. I
Well,
called the PG&E. I called the phone.
Well, that was a week. You left on May 2nd, sir. So you're telling
Right.
me on May the 9th, you called and found out that the bill hadn't been paid, so you cut it off?
Yes.
Well, that wasn't nice, sir.
Well,
I mean,
Your
you
Honor.
have a child there. Did you give her any notice that you were cutting off her electricity and her phone?
No, I did not.
Well, that's not nice, sir.
Your
You
Honor,
have
if
a
I'm-
child living there. She has 2 young children. What if she had an emergency? According to her, she came home from work and found no phone, no electricity. Is that right?
That's correct.
How much did they charge you to reconnect? Let me see the
They
bills.
charged me $130 to reconnect the electricity plus the bill, which was about $40. And then the telephone, they charged me the reconnection fees plus that bill.
Just give me what the reconnection fee was.
About $100, roughly.
Let me see.
I don't have that paperwork.
Well, you're suing for it, so how could you not have it? That's what your countersuit is about, the reconnection fees.
It happened, he admits to it.
But I don't know how much it was. Courts don't do abouts. I mean, you would have a bill, Miss Powell. Your bill would say, this is what it cost to reconnect because it was disconnected. Then I would know how much it was.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I do not have the bill.
Good. So then I can't consider it because you don't have it. You have to bring your proof to court. $320 for child care expenses for the month of May resulting from the restraining order. What's that about?
He was watching our daughter prior to the restraining order. Once he was removed, I had to get child care.
But you had him removed.
That's right. I had him removed.
Fine. Have you taken him to court for child
Yes,
support?
I have.
So what happened?
So they granted me child support, and I have not seen a dime of it since May.
Are you under an order for child support, sir?
I'm not under anything for child support that I've received, nothing.
Were you both in court together for child support?
No.
He failed to show up to that hearing.
Oh, well, then you better check, sir. There probably is a warrant outstanding for your arrest. Is there a warrant outstanding for his arrest?
No, there's not.
Well, if he was properly served, then you would have gotten a warrant for his arrest.
He's not working. The court told me that when he finds a job, I am to serve his job with the wage statement to take the money out of his check.
Eric Favre says the mother of his child, Rebecca Powell, owes him for expenses. Rebecca says she had him removed for domestic violence.
How much money in child support are you supposed to get from him?
$697 a month.
Okay. And they entered that order by default.
Exactly, because he didn't show up to 2 hearings on
Okay.
child support.
So, Mr. Favre, where are you currently living?
I currently live in Oakland.
How much rent do you pay?
I pay $540 per month.
And you pay that directly to the landlord?
Yes, I do.
Who's the landlord?
The landlord is Jew Properties.
They also in Oakland?
No, they're in Berkeley, I believe.
And from what source do you get this money to pay your rent?
I've been working odd jobs with construction to pay my rent and to pay my daughter's daycare.
Where was the last job you worked in construction?
Contractors Labor Pool, they're located in Emeryville. I work as a painter and I do construction work.
When was the last time you worked there?
Yesterday.
And how much did you earn?
I worked 7 hours, about $77.
You put this money in a checking account. In order to cash your check, you put it in your checking account?
That's correct.
Where do you do your banking?
Home savings.
Where is the branch?
My branch is on 18th Avenue in Oakland.
Is that right near your house?
Yes, it is.
Very good. You now have sufficient information with which to go back to the family court. Do you understand? Good. Okay. Now, Miss Powell, we all make mistakes in life. Sometimes we learn from them, sometimes we don't. You have a child together, so unfortunately you are wedded to him for a while, whether you like it or not. So, Mr. Favre, this is what my ruling ordinarily would be, that I would give you a judgment for $850. I'm going to sign an order for $850 prospectively. When we receive communication by mail from Miss Powell that you have appeared in family court pursuant to the summons that had been previously issued to you and commence making regular child support payments, the court will execute on its order for you for your $850. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
Which means you get your $850 when you start making child support payments in the amount of $697 a month. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Perfect. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now the next case.
Parties on Sims versus Sims. Step forward, please.
44-year-old construction worker Kenneth Sims wants his ex-wife, Mary Sims, 38, to pay for his car.
You and the defendant had a rather rocky relationship, according to these papers that I see, and you also have a child together. How old's the child?
He's 21 months.
According to your complaint, Mr. Sims, you decided to leave the house, and you left certain items in the house, and the defendant kept your car. You want to be reimbursed for the things that Ms. Sims, according to you and according to her, threw out. And you want to be compensated for the car, because she won't give it back to you.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you start living together? Because that's not clear in this report.
The 7th month of this year, 98.
But you had a relationship before that because you have a child that's 21 months old. What happened in July, sir, when you started to live together?
Well, I moved in with her. I was there a few days, and she had a couple of friends come up to me and kind of bodily threatened me. Told me that if I ever did anything that harmed this woman, that they would take care of me. And
had you ever done anything to her before?
yes, I have a family violence
History.
history.
44-year-old construction worker Kenneth Sims wants his ex-wife, Mary Sims, 38, to pay for his car.
So after her friends came up and said, you ever put your hands on her again, you're going to be chop suey, right? You decided to leave.
Yes, ma'am. I left that morning. I had given Mary $100 for rent for that week. I had left the back door open and went around the back and got my things out quietly in haste of leaving. And I left a few things there that I didn't realize because I was scared.
Where did you go?
Where did I go? I made a phone call to another girlfriend of mine that I had before that's been helping me out, and went and stayed with her.
Where was Miss Sims?
She was at work. I was letting her use my car and gave her my keys so she could have a vehicle to go to work.
Were you working at the time?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
How were you getting to work?
One of the guys there was giving me a ride.
So somebody came by with a car, picked you up with your stuff. What stuff do you say you left behind?
Did you want to see the paper?
Sure.
It was the bowling equipment, belts, buckles, a few things, the items that I had of moving out in
Bowling
haste.
ball. Why didn't you take a bowling ball with you, sir?
Where we had put the bowling balls was in the cupboard where the towels are, and out of me just looking around the room, I had just...
You have his bowling balls?
No, ma'am, I don't.
Where are they?
They were in the trunk of the car.
Trunk of which car?
The car he gave me.
So where are they now?
He got them out of the trunk of the car.
You don't have the bowling balls?
No, ma'am, I don't.
A wrist support. What is that?
It's a support you put on your wrist when you're bowling. It's for turning the ball over.
Was that in the
It's,
same place as the bowling balls and the bowling
oh, yes,
bag?
it all fits in the
together.
bag,
You don't have that, do
shoes and
you?
everything.
No, ma'am. I have no use for stuff like that.
A red palm sander. What is that?
It's like a desk sander. It's a vibrating sander that you use to strip varnish or whatnot off.
Where is that?
I don't know, ma'am. Everything of his that I found left at my house was some jeans, a couple pairs of tennis shoes, and a belt. I didn't hear from him for a couple of days. I didn't know if he was coming back. I threw him in the dumpster.
Okay. Oh, what about a marine battery? What's that for?
It was a boat battery. It's a marine battery. You can be recharged over and over. And
What'd you leave that for?
it's just something I just overlooked.
Well, you have any of this stuff?
No, ma'am, I do not.
The only thing that you found there was clothes?
Yes, ma'am. He had paged me, and I called him back and told him, look, everything of yours that I found, I threw in the dumpster. If you want it, I'd get over to my apartments and get it.
Now, what kind of car was this?
It's a 84 Cavalier.
You say he gave it to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about it.
He gave me a signed title.
Let me see it.
I have a copy of the title. The title is dated 7/16/98.
Why did he give it to you?
He had told me, I have a letter from him also that I got in May from him saying that he was going to give me his car and sign the title over to me.
Let me see the letter.
So that I could get to and from work, because I didn't have a vehicle, and getting to work and getting my son to daycare was
Yeah, but why would he
quite
give you
difficult.
Why would he give you a letter for that?
This was the letter he wrote me saying about why he was divorcing me, and he had to stay with his girlfriend Carol so that she would pay for all his bills.
Oh, you mean this was after he left?
Oh, yeah, this was, yes.
This letter was after
this
he
was
left?
before he moved, before he came to my apartment.
Just a second.
That was in May.
Oh, this was in May.
Yes, and he divorced me in June.
Ah,
And he wanted to move
and then
in
he
with
wanted
me
to
in
move, then he
July.
moved back in July.
Exactly, that's what he wanted.
Oh, just a minute.